Yes, I'll begin, Your Honor, and my colleagues will also fill in any gap that I may have left behind. Your Honor, we indeed rebut and oppose the application that has been made by the state, and we have very good grounds for it. First and foremost, Your Honor, the accused person under Article 49 and 50 of the Constitution is entitled to presumption of innocence.
And
so, Article 49 and 50 of the Constitution, two articles read together. The spirit and the letter of the Constitution makes him, actually, he's not an accused person. He's still not even anywhere being the accused person. So, his presumption of innocence is guaranteed by the Constitution. Your Honor, the other thing that is also puzzling, we have had the chance and the privilege of going through the application and the affidavit of Margaret Awino, Inspector of Police, who says she's an Inspector of Police. And Your Honor, we have a problem that she states in her own evidence in an affidavit that she is operating under the Police Act, which, Your Honor, was repealed in the year 2011. So we have an investigator who is relying on obsolete law, which are in the archives.
You saying that the accused is?
Not the accused, but the IO says that she is a police officer under the Police Act, Cap 84. We are saying, Your Honor, that in 2011, we came up with the National Police Service Act, and reading at section 130, the act that the investigator is relying on is actually repealed. So, such a person does not exist in the law, and she says she does not exist in the law. Your Honor, that can only show the kind of, for somebody to be relying on an act that was repealed more than 10 years ago, can only show one thing: gross incompetence and loss of direction. Your Honor, looking at this affidavit, it does not add to the threshold of denying a citizen of this republic the right to enjoy all his liberties. Your Honor, the scene of crime that has been identified is far away from where the respondents come from. The respondent is clearly the MCA for Kapsoit ward. Between Kapsoit to Brook, there are probably 4 other counties. So it's wrong to say, or for the investigators to assume that he has any influence in a ward that is far away from his own ward, the represent Kapsoit ward. Your Honor, looking at the affidavit, one is left wondering whether the respondent is being investigated for causing the youth to commit arson or arson. Those are 2 different things. The investigator is saying arson is being investigated. She's saying arson was committed by youth. Youth, Your Honor, according to the Constitution, are people between 18 years to 35 years. So apparently, the investigator, who is relying on a repeal act, appears to know who committed the arson. And it cannot be the respondent, who is not even a youth. So, Your Honor, we are being taken for a very wide fishing expedition in a criminal matter, in our criminal jurisprudence, Your Honor, it is very clear, it is straight law, that at any juncture, the state must always leave the court feeling that there is some overwhelming grounds in it to make the court, the honorable court, waive the rights of the respondent. He is somebody who was, he is a state officer, rather, representing a ward, several people, thousands of people, who must look to him for political guidance. He represents their aspirations in the assembly. He has to perform his work as somebody who has been duly elected to do so. So he's not the only one who is going to, when you weigh public interests which have not even been established, and the public interest that we already know of that of representation and oversight, what the state is trying to adduce this afternoon does not hold. Your Honor, I refer you to the affidavit, and particularly paragraph 10. I know, Your Honor, you will be able to read it, where cyber crime or cyber authority is supposed to give a report, a forensic report. These are not based in Nakuru. The investigator here has not said or has not indicated that she is a member of that cyber crime. In fact, in our own affidavit, she has said the acoustic forensic department is in the DCI headquarters, which is, we all know, and I urge this court to take judicial notice, that is based in Nairobi. So here's a situation where a suspect is supposed to be detained in a court, where the investigation and the report is supposed to be prepared in Nairobi, several kilometers away. No one is bothering to provide a linkage as to how somebody in Nakuru, in the police station, is interfering with investigations that are taking place, or which ought to take place in the DCI headquarters in Nairobi. The prosecution is coming out very clearly that malice is part of their game, and that, Your Honor, is something that the judiciary must not entertain. The other thing, Your Honor, we have been told the alleged losses as a result of arson, and they are not saying he's the one who committed arson. As I said, arson is being blamed on people who are between 18 years and 35. He's more than 50 years. Your Honor, looking at paragraph 5 and paragraph 4 of the affidavit, we have been told the kind of losses that were allegedly incurred. Your Honor, this is a small, it's not something that can warrant somebody to be denied his civil liberties as a Kenyan. Then, Your Honor, apparently what is being investigated, we are told in paragraph 6 of the affidavit, is the WhatsApp forum, one said to be Dr. Mutai Legacy and the South Rift Leaders Forum. Your Honor, WhatsApp is not owned by a simple MCA from Kapsoit. WhatsApp is an international, it's a global platform. He is not even indicated to be the administrator. How on earth can somebody be held so that the contents that are in social media, which, Your Honor, are out there in the public domain, and the police alludes to having information on that. How can somebody be held on information that can be investigated independently of him? Your Honor, I also urge you to take cognizance and note of the conduct of the respondent. Your Honor, in the affidavit, the IO indicates that he summoned him to come on 6th of this month, and he faithfully turned up. I'm referring, Your Honor, to paragraph 10, subparagraph B of the affidavit by the investigation officer, one Margaret Akin, I believe. Awino, sorry. Your Honor, he also states that the respondent was also summoned to come on the 8th. And he faithfully turned up to the police station. That is not somebody who will be said to be a flight risk. That is not somebody who can be said to be keen in absconding from the police or the jurisdiction of this court. Secondly, Your Honor, how does one interfere with messages or posts which are already in the WhatsApp groups? And the WhatsApp groups, we have been told, is the one called known as Dr. Mutai Legacy and South Rift Leaders Forum. How does it interfere with those ones? Your Honor, the offshoot of my submission this afternoon is that the application before you is thoroughly shredded. The application before you is dead on arrival, stillborn baby, and we cannot be told that when the accused person appeared before the police, as stated in the last subparagraph, he chose to remain silent. Your Honor, the right to choose to remain silent is protected in our Constitution. Cyber crimes are investigated under the Cyber Crimes Act. And I refer Your Honor to Section 50, where the prosecution ought to have particularized, they should have given the particulars of the kind of crime that the respondent is being investigated for. So, Your Honor, the offshoot of my submission is that the threshold has not been met. The other point, Your Honor, that I should be mentioning before stepping down is that the respondent has a medical condition. And Your Honor, matters to do with health of a person are confidential. Your Honor, he urgently requires to attend to a specialist treatment. Actually, he has overstayed. Your Honor, his health is very important, not only to his family, but to everybody, and more so to the people of Kapsoit ward who have elected him overwhelmingly on two electoral processes, 2018 and 2022. Your Honor, we are dealing with somebody who is not a flight risk. We are dealing with somebody who is a state officer. We are dealing with somebody who has shown willingness to cooperate with the police. Your Honor, I step down and allow my colleague to say something.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be very brief. I'll go to very specific points. Your Honor, first I wish to draw your attention to the rights of the suspect before you. Under Article 50, as my colleague has already alluded to, and particularly the aspect of right against self-incrimination. In this regard, Your Honor, I wish to draw your attention to paragraph 9b, paragraph 10, where the investigation officer has raised the fact that the suspect was summoned to appear and that he was not cooperative. And the reason why this is said is because he did not come with his phone, and neither was he willing to record a statement. Your Honor, in light of the provisions of Article 50, the investigation officer asking a suspect to avail his own phone to form part of the evidence is actually asking the suspect to give evidence that is self-incriminating. And such evidence is not admissible. And it's actually unconstitutional for an investigation officer to insist for a suspect to avail evidence to incriminate himself. In any case, Your Honor, the state has enough machinery to conduct its own independent investigation. And in the suspect availing his own phone, it would lead to such a breach of privacy that would not only touch on investigation, but would touch on other aspects of the suspect's life, including his businesses, his accounts, his family, and such like. So such a move by the investigation to ask for the phone to be made available is actually unconstitutional. Your Honor, we have also been informed that there's a likelihood that the respondent will interfere in investigation. Your Honor, the words used there are likelihood, which likelihood has not been demonstrated. Your Honor, the Honorable Prosecution, in his final remarks made, alluded to a presumption that because the respondent is a person of influence, it is because of this position and that assumed influence that is likely to interfere with investigations. But there is nothing specific that has been raised to show the intention of the respondent to interfere with the investigations. Further to that, Your Honor, these incidences took place sometime in the month of May. And now we are in the month of June. If there are any interferences, then it's too late in the day to even claim that at this point in time. We say that these incidences that are subject to the investigation actually took place sometime in the month of May. And so to purport to detain the respondent on account of possibility or likelihood of interference with the investigation in the month of June, long after the incidences and the investigations have taken place, is actually bringing it too late in the day. Finally, Your Honor, the investigation officer has told the court that investigations have been done or are still underway, and there are various other persons that have already recorded statements and have been released. But it is therefore not very clear why this particular respondent or this particular suspect should be held when all other persons who are also part and parcel of the same forum, that is Dr. Mutai Legacy and South leaders, they recorded their statements and they were released. So what is so different about this particular respondent that he should be detained? Are we trying to say that for the reason that he refused to have his constitutional rights breached accrues to him being detained? for the simple reason that he refused to record a statement or to have his phone, avail his phone as part of the evidence, does that then amount to him being detained simply because he has not cooperated? To this extent, Your Honor, it is our humble submission that this application has not given any compelling reasons as to why the liberty of a person who is, as at now, an innocent man should be curtailed. That is all, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'll be very brief. The prosecution in this matter, Your Honor, has clearly shown that they would want to have the suspect aid them to patch and pack up the holes that has perforated the affidavit. Your Honor, we do indicate that the veil under Article 50 be put upon the suspect in that you cannot ask, or the prosecution cannot ask the suspect to incriminate himself. And in that line, they claim that he has not obeyed their summons. They have indicated that they would wish to get 14 days so as to narrow down on the culprits. This court has not been given any nexus whatsoever as to how detaining the suspect and narrowing down relate. We pray that this court does not allow the prosecution to carry the court down on a fishing expedition trip in order to avail itself to unlawful evidence. We pray that this court affirms that this application lacks in merit, wanting, and to be expanded. That's all.